James 1 verse 6 to 8 strikes fear into many readers who intuitively know that they cannot live up to its demands. The passage reads, "But let him ask in faith, with no doubting, for the one who doubts is like a wave of the sea that is driven and tossed by the wind. For that person must not suppose that he will receive anything from the Lord. He is a double-minded man, unstable in all his ways." The frightening part of this is the words "with no doubting." We're asked to ask in faith with no doubting because doubters won't receive anything from God because they are double-minded and unstable. How does that make you feel? Helpless? Maybe hopeless? If you're anything like me, you know that you live in a state of flux between partial faith and partial doubt. Does God require complete certainty when we approach Him? Is He offended by any spark of uncertainty in us? A brief examination of 3 layers of context should point us in the right direction as regards James 1 verse 6 to 8. Firstly, the immediate context. The immediate context is about praying for wisdom. Verse 5 reads, "If any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask God, who gives generously to all, and it will be given to him." This is important because God promises that it is always His will to give wisdom to His children when they ask Him. Imagine if your own child asked you for wisdom. Wouldn't you be inclined to want to give wisdom to your child? Sure you would. God gives us that same assurance. When we approach Him and we ask for wisdom, we can know that it's His will to give us wisdom. When you pray for healing, you can know that God can heal and that He may wish to heal, but you cannot know in a given case whether it is definitely His will to heal. He's telling us that when we ask for wisdom, we can know that it is God's will to give us wisdom. Secondly, the book context comes into play here. The letter of James places a lot of emphasis on wholehearted devotion to the Lord, which results in living our faith in daily life. We're not to have one eye on the Lord and one eye on the world. This concern is in play here in James 1 verse 6 to 8. When we need wisdom, will we trust God's wisdom completely, or will we hedge our bets by asking God and looking to the world for alternatives as well? It is that tendency, looking to God with one eye while looking elsewhere with the other, that offends God and makes you a double-minded or unstable believer. In chapter 3, verses 13 to 18, James returns to the theme of wisdom, pointing out that there is a godly wisdom and there is a worldly or demonic wisdom. As a believer, you need to trust God's wisdom completely whenever it conflicts with the world's or with the culture's beliefs. And lastly, the Bible context points us in the right direction as well. If we look at how Jesus dealt with doubt, we realize that He didn't expect unwavering certainty, but He did demand undivided loyalty. Jesus answered the prayers of those who had doubting faith. In Mark 9:24, there's a father who says when pleading for help for his son, "Lord, I believe. Please help my unbelief." And Jesus does. And then we have Peter. In an amazing statement in Mark 10, verses 28 to 30, Peter makes this comment that we have left all and followed you, Lord. In other words, we might not always fully trust everything that you've revealed, but we've given up all to follow you. We have undivided loyalty to you. Jesus expects our total devotion. He doesn't expect us in every circumstance to have no uncertainty about His will. And that's the point. It's not that we feign certainty about things we cannot know for certain, but that we walk in undivided loyalty to God and trust His wisdom over the world's. And that, as we conclude, is the point of James 1 verse 6 to 8. That when we ask God for wisdom, we should trust fully in His wisdom, not mixing it with the wisdom of the world. In many prayers, you can't know for sure whether God's answer is going to be yes, no, or maybe. But when you ask for wisdom, you can be sure that He will give it.